Hi guys, thank you very much for coming to my one and only talk on the Thoth Tarot deck, my favourite subject of them all, as you probably guessed. If you haven't already, please donate £4 into Piggies. It goes towards printing money and for prizes as well. So, let's get started. I know these two here, myself, are the only ones here probably actually use the Thoth, am I right? You use it a bit, okay, so 3.5. 4, there you go, 4, let's give it 4. Alright, so let's see how many converts we can get today. Alright, so first point is history of Western magic and why the Golden Dawn is important. The Golden Dawn is basically the magical society based in the UK. No problem. Essentially, if you subscribe to any Western system, it is going to be like an offshoot of Golden Dawn practices. I was surprised when I attended a Doreen Virtue seminar. Surprise, surprise.
I don't hear about that as well.
It was a while ago.
Yes,
but basically, I was surprised when we just sat down, did this meditation. I was like, hang on. I recognise this ritual. This came straight from the Golden Dawn. You don't give credit where credit is due. That's my personal of Doreen Virtue. I mean, it's fine to take stuff from various sources, but give the credit. It's just the way it is. Basically, people nick stuff without... They might have done it without knowing. I'll give them that. But it's nice to learn it and see where everything comes from. But the reason why this is significant is basically it didn't just be the UK that had all this stuff. There was organisations from France, from Germany that had arguably even better info than we have had in the UK because frankly the UK branch.
Turn the phone off.
Sorry, take a seat. So I was saying there were groups in France and Germany, as well as the UK, that were a lot better organised. The Golden Dawn was actually fairly, you can say, a corrupt system, in the sense that you were given initiation based on the amount you donate and not on how much effort you actually put in and how much you achieve. And so, like it or not, we're kind of stuck with the Golden Dawn. The reason why that is the case is because during the Second World War, Nazis came, through Germany and France. All of that magic and occult stuff just got wiped out. They like to burn books. Luckily, they never got to the UK. That's how we have the ashes of the Enlightenment era. So, next one is why Crowley. Hi Andrew. How's it going? Hi Jen.
Hello.
Please take a seat.
It just started anyway, so hello dear. Hello.
So why Crowley himself was important? I would actually argue he did a lot to influence modern Western culture in general. You may or may not know. He came from a very, very Puritan background in England, and as you probably know, Puritans take all the fun out of life. He was just thought to himself, look, this can't be a real religion, Religion is meant to give you, enrich life, give it meaning, not just take all the fun out of it. So, he was seeing this massive change in world culture where you're still having old archaic systems. So there had to be a change, there had to be something new. And he did that with his own philosophy of Thelema. Now, what he kind of did was he identified... His philosophy was to live life with passion in one way or another. And he identified sort of 3 things in old Greek literature of how you can invoke passion into you. And basically, it was music, alcohol, and sex. Translated into modern terms, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Right? So he kind of inspired the hippie culture to a certain degree. There's no secret about that. A lot of musicians loved him. Their kind of lifestyles were based around his, basically experiment, everything. So, fun enough, he was very not a hippie. Funnily enough. Hippies are all like free love, make love, not war. He's more make love and war. It's the same thing. So on the Thoth and the Rider-Waite. Now this is where. Hi there.
Sorry I'm late.
No problem.
Was
You've made it to the best part where I destroyed the Rider-Waite.
Take a seat.
I'll
I'll
squeeze it.
give you my dog if you want.
The Thoth versus the Rider-Waite. Now, why I personally advocate for Thoth so much more than the Rider-Waite. Waite created his deck when he was, I think he was in his 40s. He was a devout Catholic, and he was still very bound by these oaths of secrecy these organizations had. Now, the reason why they had them is because they were created in times where Christianity was the norm. If you're found out what you do, you're going to kill. So secrecy was paramount. But the thing is, this tradition was kept even in an age where, you know, we broke away from the Catholic Church. We were no longer oppressed as much in the UK. But again, it was Crowley who was the first one to break his vows of secrecy. He saw the danger of keeping magical knowledge secret, because if you don't publicly publish all these, there is a huge danger of it getting lost. And that is what happened in France and Germany. You can say it was divine revelation that, you know, an angel came to him, you must publish these or whatever. But he did it. And that's why he published stuff like the Book of Thoth and put all his knowledge into it, literally everything. Compared to A. Waite, so A. Waite wrote this when he was in his 40s, Crowley wrote this at the end of his life. I'd say that alone is a massive difference. A. Waite, has anyone read the pictorial keys to the tarot?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? How do you find it?
I don't like books.
You don't like books? Anyway, thank you. But basically, throughout the book he says, look, there are a lot of things I'm not allowed to tell you, but here's like a little drips and drabs, you know. And at one point he even says, look, there's all this stuff I'm not going to say because you're not going to get it anyway. Which is a bloody rude thing to say, frankly. You know, I think the other day I was saying to someone and her mental middle finger just like coming off. You know, Crowley does none of that. He just says, look, all the knowledge is here. You might not get it, but please plow through it. There are books scattered all over you can go through to understand it. And that is a much more liberating process. Now, the reason why he wanted to do this as well is because he wanted magic to be treated like a science. If you look at how modern science today, you know, everything is published over the internet. Anyone can read it. So, say I wrote something I published in the UK, someone in the US can look at my results, test it themselves. If it works, they'll say, oh, okay, your theory works. And so, magic can develop in a way, you know, at an exponential speed, the same way science has in the past 100 years or so. But it's still all underground. People are still, for whatever reason, about it. But Crowley kind of changed all that to a certain degree. Yeah, and technically, book T. So, on the tarot itself, the Golden Dawn Tarot was based on this book. It says it's written by Alistair Crowley. It wasn't. It was written by a guy called MacGregor Mathers, one of the founders of the Golden Dawn. So Crowley broke his silence and published this book. So if you really want to know Golden Dawn Tarot, this is the book you want. And you will see in this book, A8 fucks with the system a lot. First of all, is the court cards. You know how, you know, you have the, you know, King of Wands, Queen, Knight, and Page. In here you will see it's Knight, Queen, Prince, and Princess. That is the correct names for the Golden Dawn Tarot. A. Waite deliberately fucks it up to confuse us and all that crap. What else? But yeah, it's just, generally speaking, he just doesn't say much. It's like how we were talking about the Lover's card, Antoine. You know, A. Waite was something, oh, it's about choices, or it's about the romantic partner, where if you look through here, he would probably just say, look, the Lover's card depicts the idea of duality itself. You may not know, okay, cool, what does that mean? But look at our power. Duality is just two equal and opposite things where you set them up and you want to bang them together, basically. And he calls it the hermetic marriage.
Is that on a spiritual level or?
And the mundane level, as above, so below. So no, that's the beauty of tarot. It works both ways. Anyway, so by the fact that I pointed these books out, you've already got the.
Someone doesn't like the top.
You've already got the hints that you need to do a lot of reading to learn this book, to learn this deck. That's why I've really criticized people who just, buy the deck, just use it, and don't care about these books. And it's like, no, you're only going to scratch the surface, frankly. You really have to do a lot of book learning. The way I described it was, because the Thoth Tarot is made from different systems. The Kabbalah, astrology, there's the philosophies of Thelema, and then there's the symbols. The Kabbalah is like the skeleton. The astrology is his flesh. Thelema is the personality. The symbols, the images, that's just the skin. Do you want to know someone just by how they look? That's my opinion of just going about the symbols and stuff. It's kind of shallow. No offense. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's not to say you can't learn it through intuition, but don't ignore the book learning. I know that puts a lot of people off. A lot of people. But just grind it. It doesn't take long. I mean, when I first learned this, it took me about 3 months of reading about 3 to 5 books, other books, to get this. That's not that long, frankly. Not too much work. No? 3 or 5 books to finally understand this.
Well, yeah, but it depends. If you want to read, it's something you want to read, otherwise you're just going to read the same line over and over again because you don't care.
Okay, it definitely doesn't appeal to everyone.
If it's something that you want to read because you want to go into that,
Yeah. Well, no, they are interesting because, if you like philosophy, that's, if you get an intellectual hard-on for that sort of stuff.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, really.
Okay, so on to the idea of Thelema itself. What is Thelema? So Thelema, as I explained, is Crowley's system of thought. You can call it a religion or philosophy. That's up to you. But the name itself, Thelema, is the Greek word for will. Now, what does will mean? If you read anything on Thelema, the idea of true will comes up all the time. It basically, it's a description of your inner core, like who you really are inside. Now, the blessed analogy for it is that you imagine yourself as a force of nature. What impacts do you have on your environment? Say you walk into a room, a party, or whatever. Hi, Nancy. You walk into a room, a party, or whatever. What effect do you have on the people? Do you uplift people? Do you enlighten people? Do you cause conflict? That is your true will. You can interpret it to be like something like a life goal or ambition, but it's more basic than that. And then the point of this system is to find out who you really are, and then basically go do it. And then the last step, which is to strip away everything that's non-essential to your character. So yeah, you are a pure virgin soul.
So it's really getting to know yourself.
Yeah, essentially. And getting to know yourself, you start to understand other people and God.
That was said with some
passion.
some passion. Yes. Call it that.
I know, when I think of God, I have to say it with an American accent. Jesus Christ, my Lord.
Wasn't it Plato who said, know yourself to know God?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's the Bible actually says that in its creation story. It's Satan is the good guy. He's the guy who says, know yourself and you can become like God. He's not the guy that condemns you to the original sin.